السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباح الخير. Dear students, DSS students, today I'll try to explain to you chapter 6, which is concerning the techniques for predictive modeling for the DSS course. We have several modeling techniques to be used to predict the future and to predict the activities that might help the decision makers. One of the important issues that decision makers need is to do prediction for the future. This will help them in setting their strategic plans, help them in setting their future needs, and help them in clarify all the opportunities that can be offering through this prediction. We have several tools to be used or models to be used in this regard. One of these models are what we call the neural network concepts, or the neural network, NN. The concepts of this NN, or the neural network, is like a brain metaphor for information processing. So it is exactly works like the brain of a human, which consists of so millions and so many millions of cells, nerve cells that are connected to each other in order to achieve the activities of the brain. For that, this kind of neural network being used as a neural computing, and of course it is a part of artificial intelligence, and this is why we call it the ANN, or the artificial neural network. There were so many uses, or there are so many uses for the artificial neural network, like the pattern recognition, forecasting, prediction, and classification. These are important things that managers or decision makers need to do. They need to know what patterns are available in their business so they can do the necessary forecasting, the necessary prediction, and the classifications of the issues or the topic in their strategic plans or in their strategic issues. And as well, there are so many application areas in this regard. In the finance, can be used in finance and marketing, manufacturing, operation, information system, and so on. This is a simple biological neural network in the human brain. Two interconnected brain cells, which we call the neurons. Two cells, brain cells actually. These cells are communicating with each other and by sending and receiving information from one to each other. On these concepts, the ANN is working on the same concepts. This is how we are processing information in artificial neural network. We have input, we need to give a weight for the input and then a formula, and then the output, which is the result. So a single neuron, a processing element, PE, is the processing element with input and output. So we have input, and we need to wait for the output. And here is a summation or the formula that we use, or the PE, neuron, the PE, and the result, which is the transfer function to give output. The Y is the transfer function or the output. This is how it works. Another important topic in predicting is the simulation. Simulation, it's like imitating the reality, like trying to opposite the reality into techniques. For example, the pilots need to be trained on flying the planes. So before they start going through the plane and start flying, they are trying or training on simulators that they call it the flight simulators. It is a special room, exactly like the cockpit, like the airplane cockpit, with all the functions, the instrument, the devices, everything, as if he is flying. And he started training on how to fly the plane using this cockpit or using this simulator in order to be trained. After that, he can go through the real life or real flight. So simulation is the appearance of reality. As I mentioned to you, it is imitating the reality. It is often used to conduct what-if analysis. What-if analysis is one of the important techniques or analysis that been used to help decision maker in making decisions on the model of the actual system. It is a popular DSS technique for conducting experiments. So it is an experiment with a computer on a comprehensive model of the system to assess its dynamic behavior. Simulation being used in many fields, in training, in teaching, in education, in war, in military, so many fields, in finance, accounting, marketing. So experimentation, that means giving experiments before going to the reality. Often used, definitely the simulation is often used when the system is too complex for other DSS techniques. This is how the simulation works. This is the simulation method or the simulation process. Model real system, we need to model the real system and conduct repetitive experiments. Here are the steps. First, we need to define the problem. After that, construct a simulation model, test and validate the model. So first of all, we have a problem. We need to solve this problem. The first step is we need to define the problem. That means we need to analyze what is this problem, all its figures, all its components in order to understand it. Then we have to construct a simulation model. Here we give a model that looks like the reality, but it is not a reality, just a simulator that imitates the reality. After that, we need to test and validate the model. Step number 3. After we test and validate the model, then we design an experiment. That means we try this model. We experiment this model. After we design the experiment, we need to evaluate our experiment. That means we need to design, conduct. After we design the experiment, we conduct the experiment, and then we need to evaluate the result from this conducting of the experiment. If it is okay, then we can implement it. If it is not, then we can go back and make changes in any of the steps in the previous stages. So after we evaluate and found that this experiment is good and acting like the reality and give good results, then we can implement these results to the problem itself. This is what we call the simulation. Simulation means trying to building a model that looks like the reality exactly. As the example I gave you before, in training the pilots on aircraft flying, they are using simulation before they go into the real world and to fly in the planes. These are the steps of the simulation. Simulation is a very important technique for imitate and predict what will happen in the future. So it is a good technique for predicting and a good technique that helps decision maker in making decisions. So it is a quite important DSS technique. The major characteristics of simulation is imitate. Imitate what? Imitate the reality and capture its richness both in shape and behavior. This represents variances. Imitate. A technique for conducting experiment. It is descriptive, not a normative tool. Simulation should be used only when a optimization is not possible. The numerical optimization is not possible. There are several advantages from using simulation. First, a great deal of time compression, experiment with different alternatives, can handle wide variety of problem types, can include the real complexities of problem. Often, it is the only DSS modeling tool for non-structured problem. And this is the most important issue. This is a very important tool, a very important modeling tool for non-structured problem. But there are some disadvantages of simulation. Cannot guarantee an optimal solution. A slow and costly construction process. Cannot transfer solution in interference and inference to solve other problems. So it is for a specific problem. It is designed, this model is designed for a specific problem. Cannot be used for several problems. So each problem we design a model for it. So easy to explain. Sale to manager may lead to overlooking analytical solution. Software may require special skills. These are the disadvantages of the simulation and the advantage of simulation. So we talk mostly about simulation, and this is the important part in this chapter, which is simulation, that can be considered as a very important predictive tool to help decision makers in solving unstructured problems. Thank you, and I will see you next time to explain chapter 7. Thank you very much and good luck.